Hello, this is Dawn from Creative Appliques. Today, we're going to show you how to make our rounded raggy cross design. Stay tuned to the very end of the video for a special surprise for you. So first we're going to get our supplies together. I have this fabric that I'm going to use for the cross, and I'm going to make this 7-inch cross on this towel. And because I have a pattern, I cut the fabric larger than the actual design. So for the 7-inch cross, it measures about 4.5 inches wide by 7 inches high. And because we are going to have it raggy or frayed or shabby, we need to leave some fabric around the edges to accommodate that. So when I make a raggy design, I usually cut the fabric at least minimum 1 inch larger all around. So I would usually cut for this 7-inch design 8 inches high by 5.5 inches wide. But because this is a pattern, I did some fussy cutting and cut it large enough so that we're going to encompass these this pattern here in the center of the cross. And so when you're making a frayed design, you want to have layers of material. That's what's going to give you the nice frayed look. There are two different types of fabric that you can use for a frayed design. This I really like to use because it frays very easily, very quickly, and very well. It's called Osnaburg. And you can find this at Joann's or your local quilt shop. So it's really cheap and it frays very well. And we'll show you that when we get to that point. This brush is great because it's a simple grout brush, and this helps to pull the actual pieces of material out very easily. And this is something you can find probably at Home Depot or Walmart. It's just a simple grout brush that's used in the bathroom, and you can see the bristles are very, very stiff. The other type of fabric people like to use too is just a basic flannel. This is a flannel fabric that you can find in any kind of fabric store. And this also frays very well, but I didn't really want to have the white on our cotton towel, so we're going to use the Osnaburg. So let's get started. I'm going to hoop our item, hoop our towel, and we'll get sewing. We hooped our towel with some tearaway stabilizer, and if we were doing a t-shirt, we would definitely hoop it with some cutaway and also some tearaway stabilizer. But being that it's a towel and it's going to be on display, and this is a raggy design which doesn't have a lot of stitch density to it, we're using the tearaway. So we've loaded the design on the machine, set the colors, and now we're ready to sew. So we sewed our placement line for the fabric, which is going to tell us exactly where we need to lay our fabric down. It's our guideline, our placement stitching. We have our two layers of Osnaburg, and then our 1 layer of the fabric, our decorative fabric, that we're going to lay that on top. There is no heat and bond light used on any of these, which I normally do in a satin stitch applique, but for a raggy design, you want to make sure that the material is going to fray and have those ragged edges. And if you put the heat and bond light on there, it's not going to allow it to fray. So we're going to lay the fabric on top of the cross, checking where our placement lines are. And now we are ready to sew again the top stitching. So we just finished sewing the design, so now let's get to the raggy part. I'm going to unhoop it. And we're going to trim the material, leaving about a good 1/4 inch all the way around the stitching. Cutting through all 3 layers. How much you leave around the edge is really up to you, how much you really want to see of the frayed. Because the design itself did a single stitching all the way around it and then did a triple bean stitch, it's on there pretty securely. So you can cut all the way down to the stitching if you wanted to, if you didn't want to have the raggy look to it. These designs are so much fun. They are so quick and easy. The longest part you're going to take is cutting all the fabric away and making the design raggy. Because to stitch it, as you saw, it was the one layer, the one run of the single stitching for the placement, and then it did the single run to tack down the fabric, and then went right into the triple bean, and that was it. With a design like this, if you're using something like this in your business, it is so fast. And while you have other designs on your machine sewing out, you can be doing this part. Alright, so we have all the fabric cut now. Left a good 1/4 inch all the way around the fabric. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut in perpendicular about every 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. So this way you don't have the very long strings of frayed threads that are going to be hanging off of a garment. These scissors I'm using, they're Fisker's brand, and I bought them at Joann's when using one of their 40% off coupons. They're just, let me see how big they are. They're 5 inches all the way to the end, and they're Fisker brand. I don't know if they were called an embroidery scissor, but they are able to get in there very nicely all the way to the end, all the way to the stitching. Cutting through all 3 layers, perpendicular. It's, you know, I'm cutting right up to the stitching there, and I'm not even getting anywhere near close to cutting the stitching. Okay, so now to make it raggy, you can either use your fingernail, which does it very easily, or you can use this brush. Now just get all the little pieces of frayed threads off of it. Some of these are a little long, so I'll snip those. And there you go. Our raggy rounded cross. And now for the special surprise. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to have your very own rounded raggy cross, you can find it on our website for free. Yes, for free at www.creativeappliques.com. Thanks for watching, and remember, please share with your friends. I hope this information was helpful. You can find all of our designs on our website, www.creativeappliques.com. You can also follow us on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook as Creative Appliques. And on Twitter, we are @CAppliques. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay informed when we add new videos. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, be creative.